Mhm. Oh yeah, Maxi Wow, we're having so much fun with it. It's been such a great project. Like we just we're wrapping up design and we're just starting on animation. So we're just getting to that point where things are coming together. And seeing the designs have been great, but seeing all the scenes put together and starting to see them move, yeah, we're getting to that magic point where it's like,
yeah, it's so cool.
This is happening. This is coming together, and it's got such a great message of just like of being yourself and finding yourself.
Yeah. I lay on the scale, you gotta glow, you gotta glow. She had my attention, she gotta know.
I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of the Let's Gather podcast. I'm Zeke, and in this episode I have Bill and Karen Drexel to speak about Chubby Beagle Productions. You can find more information about Chubby Beagle Productions by clicking the link in the description below. I'd like to give a content warning if you're trying to use this episode, and hope you nice day and enjoy the show. So, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey, thank you for joining.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Thank you for being interested. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and what you do for work, and then we can get straight into the questions.
Sure. Sounds good. Well, I'm Karen, and this is Bill, and we founded Chubby Beagle Productions. It's a little independent animation studio, and we love working on just fun and cute and
just fun, stupid, cute, adorable. The Chubby Beagle Productions kind of is our brand of content that we like to produce. Stuff that's friendly, fun, stupid, hilarious kind of things. And we're right now busy working on Maxi Loao.
Drag queen super shiro.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did this all get started?
Well, let's see. It kind of grew on its own. Like it kind of started as when I was working as a freelance artist and animator, and so I was taking on just like little things, little bits of animation here and there, and then when was it? About 2018 or so?
Yeah,
we got
2018.
the USC project. Yeah, through a friend, we got a project with Children's Hospital of. Wait, was it USC?
It was USC and Children's Hospital. Yeah.
And so we did a project with them to make little animated vignettes to show for kids that are doing like what was it called?
It was a program for Children's Hospital where say like you have a child getting a treatment for whatever, like say like diabetes treatment or something like that, and they might have a study going on at the hospital. They don't, a lot of times it would be a doctor that would need to come through, and then if they want to have your child for whatever study that's going on, a doctor would have to show up and ask you a question, tell you about the study, see if you're interested. And so this program was like, it was like an interactive AI kind of program that you could then put on a tablet, and then they could hand it to the patient and their parents, and they kind of get like an overview of what the study was. And the vignettes they wanted us to do were sort of like little short films for like more complicated questions or like more complicated things.
Scenes
like kind of like informative cutscenes with like a character that kind of comes in and explains everything and shows up and everyone's happy and stuff. And so we did 6 of those for them. And this was the biggest project we'd ever done as freelancers.
Well, like. We started out, we're like, sure, we'd love to do this animation. And then they sent us over the script and we're like, all right, when can we have the finished thing done? And we're like, oh,
like
we're doing everything.
Like everything
we're handling
here.
The whole shebang. So we're like, all right, let's do this. Because it was such a cute project and it was such a good thing to work on. We're like, we really want to make this work. This is a great thing to have. And so we just kind of figured it out as we went. We called up friends, places we were working at. We talked to our directors and producers there, and we're like learned as we went. And we had such a great time building a team. It was a small team, but we had a team. We did the voiceover artists, the whole
shebang. We produced those. Yeah, we produced them all.
At the end of it, we just decided that was really fun. That was really great. Like.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. We had a great time, and it was kind of cool because both of us, we've worked in animation and games and TV and everything. We've always been like a kind of a cog in the machine. playing it. And this time we were kind of overseeing the whole thing. Like we were kind of the ones steering the machine and kind of directing other people. And it was a lot of fun. And we had a really good time. And so we started, that's when kind of Chubby Beagle started officially.
We kind of talked it over and we were like, hey, I've been doing this freelance stuff, but let's do this. Let's do the big projects. It was kind of like the mental shift at that point. We were like, all right, this is a thing. We're going to just go for it. And we kind of like figured out like a loose business plan on where we wanted to go. And we kind of, our goal is to set up a production studio that works, with the artists and with storytellers, and to tell all different stories and just be like welcoming and friendly, but also keep that fun energy going with all the artists, because we've learned through all our past work that, you keep that energy up with the artists and with the team, it shows in the work.
Yeah.
Like you see it in the final project, and we also love that feeling when you're working with a team that's like, that everyone is just excited about what you're working on. Everyone just loves what they're doing, and they're just exploring their own strengths. It's like, it really shows up. So we really want to nurture that kind of like atmosphere, that kind of team. And we're kind of going like, we're building up, like we started with small projects, and we're kind of like building up as we go, so that we're more of a self-sustaining studio rather than all our eggs in one basket sort of thing.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping to help, each project will help build on to the next project, and then help grow the studio, grow what we're able to do, and then grow what we're able to provide for more clients and bring on more work, and then eventually start producing. Then eventually you start producing our own work out there and get that out.
Nice. Sounds like a plan.
It's a plan we have.
So before we continue, so how do you have like the patience to do animation?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
You're right. It takes a lot of patience, and it's we've thought this for a long time. Like being in animation and being in the industry in general, it's like, it's a mindset. It's like it's such an ocean out there when it comes to, it's such a creative medium. You gotta be like, either I'm doing this or not. Either you jump in or you don't. Like, you can't be like, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months, and if I'm not a giant success in 6 months, I'm out. You can't do that.
Yeah,
that's not the way this is.
It's more of a long-term sort of burn you have to do.
It's a mindset.
Yeah, you got to really come in, because it's like you got to be long-term. Especially if you're trying to like break into like the industry as a whole. Because it's kind of it's ups and downs. There's mountains and valleys. There's times where there's lots of jobs available. There's times where there's not a lot of jobs available. And it's a lot of based on, there's a lot of luck and a lot of networking and who you know involved in maintaining work and keeping work and
work in general. You gotta put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of luck to it. There's a lot of stuff out of your control. That's why it's a mindset that you kind of got to roll with the punches sometimes. Like sometimes you have to pivot, sometimes you have to go a different direction. But if you're just in the mindset of like, I want to create, then just go for it. Just like jump in the deep end, I wish I could have told myself that when I was younger, like just jump in all the way, and then you'll know faster if it's not working out for you or not, but if you love it, it's going to get rough, but you love it. So it helps keep you going.
It's like, I keep telling students or people who ask me that question of like, oh, how do you get in animation, or what's it like in animation? I'm like, it's hard. Like animation is hard. Like it's always going to be hard to do. Like that's why it's a team effort. It's a collaboration. It's hard. It's really hard to do, but it's not impossible. And I think sometimes we can take what's hard and make it impossible in our head. And it's like, no, it's not impossible. It's just hard. It's just really hard. And if you can get over the fact that it's always going to be hard, then it's like you free yourself up to be like, okay, this is going to be hard. I'm ready for that. Okay, now I can go into this with a mindset of like, okay, let's just knuckle down and let's just get over with it. It's going to be hard, and let's do the best we can and have fun with it.
I gotta say, it really helps to when it comes to like keeping that momentum going, keeping that patience up when it gets really tough. What really helps is talking to other artists, because when you start like not just the surface stuff, but like really talking to them, you hear about their struggles, you hear about their ups and downs, you hear about what they're going through, because it's full of like really interesting people. everyone's got such really unique stories, and to hear that, it's so inspiring, because it's like, all right, and you can like relate to each other, you can rant to each other, you can like complain to each other, but then also share successes together. So it's really helpful. Like even just talking to artists and like artist alleys at like conventions, you like get so many stories and you just feel so renewed afterward, that it's like, yeah, when you feel yourself getting into that rut, you got to get yourself out and talk to other people, and it really helps like bring the light back,
Got it. Because for me, I have the skills to animate, but I don't have the patience to sit there for like all that time to do something that only takes like, that will only be like 30 seconds long.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of tedious work to it too. Yeah. It's not glamorous.
It's
not fast paced either. Yeah.
You get because it's not always all that. Like animation isn't all just the tedious work. Like there is the tedious work that you just got to do, but there's also like on like Maxi right now, we're just right now getting our production schedule getting launched on animation. And we've just been going through storyboarding and design work, and that's been rough and hard going through it. We've had an amazing team that we've been working with, but there's this moment that we're having where we're seeing the files come together, the art assets are being put in, the characters are being put in, they're starting to move, they're starting to animate, and it's like, whoa, this is so cool. Like it's cool to see the whole thing put together.
Oh yeah.
And so you get those awesome moments mixed in with the tedium that kind of like, you're like, oh, it helps, it rejuvenates you. Like Karen said, with like talking with like getting motivation from other artists, it's like those moments are like, oh, this is so cool. Oh my God, there's that magic that helps keep you going, and like, all right, I gotta go back, I gotta make this handbag, I gotta put together this stupid prop, let me do that. Okay, but it's like those moments where it comes through kind of help give you that energy to keep going.
Yeah, and you got to lean on the team. Yeah, like you got to, and it's hard. It's hard as an artist sometimes to really like delegate things out and not take it all on yourself. Like it's like, okay, I'll do it all myself, and then you just overload yourself and it becomes impossible. And it's like, yeah, we learned that a lot in like storyboarding. It's like, okay, no, we just got to, hand it to the artists and just let them do their thing. It's like, we don't have to do it all because it's just way too much for one person.
Right. It's a different it's a change in mindset for the two of us too, to be in this position, because both of us were so used to being like I said, being that cog, and now we're overseeing it, and we're learning how to now direct people. And it's like, okay, I'm going to hand this to you now, and I'm going to and working on communicating what I'm looking for or what we're looking for in this project to another artist, and let them do it, and then they bring their own energy, their own ideas, and it's like, oh, and a lot of times it's cool because then they'll do something I didn't even expect. It's like, oh no, this is genius, I love the way they did this is way better than anything I could have thought of. And it's like, that's the energy we want to see, because that's all that energy that the artists and that fun that we're having putting into the work, the audience is gonna get that feeling coming off of it. It's like you can kind of tell when something was fun. You're like, oh boy, whoever made this, they were having a great time because this is so fun, or this is so cool, or so awesome. And that's you want that coming out of it.
Oh yeah, and it's so great. Like you said, the magic when it all starts coming together. Yeah, it's like magic. It comes together, and you're just like, your eyes get big. You're like, what? Like it's actually happening. It's actually coming together. Or when we get like some of the artwork that came back during design, like you can tell when some of the artists were like really right in their element. We're like really feeling it. It comes back and you're just like, yes, this is it. Like it just feels, it's such a rush, like to get it coming together. So it's like that kind of spurs you on through the little tedious part where you're making just like tiny handbags or itty bitty tweaks to the animatic that you have to re-render again for hours. It's like it carries you through those little bits.
Yeah.
Got it. And a lot of times people say with an artist, like you start making the art, and then once you get bigger and like you start growing, then you become the producer, you become more of the business. You guys mentioned that. So how's that transitioning? In like more detail.
Yeah, it's definitely a transition. Yeah, because it's a completely different mindset to go from like the art side of it to the business side of it. It's two completely different worlds almost, that kind of have to work together, because there's definitely strengths for us knowing how the whole art side works to have that business side, because it really helps with like, making like making budgets, knowing what has to go into it, doing all that. But then, there's been a lot of like the really specific stuff, like taxes and contracts and all that not fun stuff.
There's so much we don't know that we don't know. Like, and it's like but it's also kind of cool because that's the same way that you have when you're learning whatever art trade or whatever art experience you're trying to learn. It's the same learning experience. So it's like, that's why, we're growing in everything that we're doing. We're growing as artists, we're growing as animators, we're growing as business owners and producers and directors. So we're, because we don't know, but we're just jumping into it. We're like, hey, let's go, let's try, and we're doing our best not to piss everyone off. Is kind of what our motto is, and we're going to grow into it, and we're trying to be. I think what's helping is we're trying to keep ourselves honest in that. Like, hey, we're doing this. This is something we're learning at. We're all learning here. We're all growing, and we're all going to do that together. We're all, that's something I say to we'll say to our team a lot. It's like, we just launched some animators. There's a certain way we're animating. There's certain things we're looking for, and they don't know that yet because they have to learn it and we have to tell it to them. So there's going to be some rough bumps along the way, and let's just be honest about it. And that's cool. And that'll work out. It works out. And it's having that understanding between the team that's working for you, and then you're trying to help. We're all trying to make this the best thing as possible.
And that's like that mindset helps a lot with the business end of it too, because there's been so much that's like, we got the big contracts and we're like, okay, we don't even know how to start to go through this. So it's like, we got to admit when we don't know, like we admit, like, this is our first time doing contracts. We need help. But so it's like, that's when we reached out, to lawyers and stuff and be like, let's learn all we can. You got to be a good student to learn all the business stuff that's like, we didn't know yet, so it's like, not be afraid to reach out when we need to. It's like, we talked with some, business development friends and, talked to as many people as we could, learned as much as we could, and, not be afraid to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And why did you choose 2D as like your animation style?
Why do we choose 2D, you said?
Yeah.
Well, because that's what we both knew.
That was what we knew. It's kind of our bread and butter.
Right. Like, we both went to school for animation, and we both, it was kind of like we learned all different types of animation. We both kind of, gravitated more towards 2D. Like, we were really, I guess just enjoying it more, just feeling it more. Like, I did try 3D, but it was just not feeling it. Yeah. So like he's more the storyboard side. He's done storyboards and directing and things like that. I'm more the animation side, the 2D animation, and that's we started in games, and that was all 2D games, like social games and things like that, and then just been building from there. So it's like that's what we know, doing like TV animation and stuff. So it's like just build on our strengths, what we already know, rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah. Makes sense. And so what's like the whole production, like what's the production schedule and like working through a whole animation project?
Well, it really depends on the project.
Depends on the project, yeah. Like that's as far as like time wise.
Mm-hmm,
yeah. But most of it always goes through you've got your pre-production where we kind of pre-visualize everything. We'll take a look at the script. We'll kind of figure out like, okay, what kind of shots are we talking about? What sort of backgrounds? What are the settings, characters, that sort of thing.
How we're going to tackle this. It's making a plan.
Yeah, kind of have like a plan. It's a plan that grows and morphs as you kind of go along because as you go, you can look over a script and have the initial ideas, but then when you go into it for storyboards, that can then change, and that becomes a little more flexible, or not flexible, but it gets into a state of flux, because a lot of times you can read the script, but then when you're actually then storyboarding it and visualizing it, things in the script work differently when you're getting to visual. So some things in the script might read a certain way, you might want to change, or there's things that might, let's add to this, or this needs to really work out a little bit more. So it's really like that storyboard for animation production is really like, that's where you're building out your blueprints. That's really going to help it.
Previs,
yeah, and previs, because previs is really helpful to do before for the storyboard artists, and that's what we did. That's what we've done for Maxi. We did a lot of previs for just to kind of have like, here's what this character looks like, here's what this character looks like, because we had original designs for all like the main cast, but then there's a ton of secondary characters, a ton of incidental characters that were like, what do these people look like? And we wanted to make sure that when we had the storyboard artists storyboard that was staying consistent. So we're like, okay, here's what we have, here's what idea of what this character looks like. So when you draw them, they're about this tall, they look like this. So that way, once the storyboard is done, it all stays consistent, because the board is your blueprint for everything.
Right, like the previs is like the stepping stone to the storyboards, and the storyboard is a stepping stone to animation, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and then
they just keep building on each other, and it helps right the ship as you're going, because without it, it's like you don't really have much. It's hard to keep writing the ship over and over with the artists.
At this point, it's at a certain point, when you get far enough along in storyboards, it's really hard to then say, oh, we have to throw this whole thing out. Like, oh, this isn't really working in the script anymore. It's like, well, okay, we're working on boards right now. Let's change it now. But once boards are done, and it's like, okay, we're done. We're working on animation. It's like, oh my gosh, you don't want to change anything at that point, because now it's like the machine's going, people are working on this, designs are being made, things are being made to that board. It's like you have to be really sure you want to press that button.
You don't want to unravel things once it gets all tied up in animation. Yeah. And you're saying for the schedule for the production as a whole, like what was that thing you talk about? Like we kind of go off the three things.
It's either cheap, good, or fast, and you can't have all three of them. You can have two. So you have to figure out like which way you want to pull the. And
it also depends on the budget too.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with animation. Some people ask like, oh, how much is a minute of animation? It's like, well, what kind of animation are you looking for? We could do like a ball that just goes across the screen. That'll take like 30 minutes. Or we could do a completely, 100% animation. Yeah, that'll take 6 months.
You could have a scene that's 30 seconds of just a character sitting in front of a camera talking, not moving. Hey, I'll get that out in a week. Not a problem. Or, hey, it's 30 seconds and it's a giant crowd of people gathered around a temple where, something amazing happens. Like, okay, that's going to take a little bit more time.
Right.
It's all about the scope of the project and what you're looking for. And so each shot in this thing that we're making is different, because it's all what's happened. That's why that initial scan of the script and pre-production really helps, because you can get an initial idea of what it is we're looking for. Like, okay, with this location, we're going to have this happen. This is going to happen. You really have to break it all down beforehand to really figure it out.
Yeah, and coming to a consensus with us and the client with the budget, in which we're both happy with it, which we both feel good, is so important. Because if one side isn't happy with it going through the whole project and production, it's so much easier falls apart if one side is like angry about it, or thinks it's too much money, or thinks it's too fast. So it's like that first initial like coming together and figuring things out. It's like, how can we make us both happy? It's really important. Yeah, which is why it's so hard to be like very standardized with like how much and how, because it's like, okay, do you want this super quick? Then we got to talk about, that's going to take a lot of our time. Or if you're okay making it a lot longer, we can adjust the team for that. So that'll be, everything is so
there's a lot
dependent on that.
There's a lot of time management and communication skills and emotional maturity that is needed for producing animation that doesn't usually get talked about. A lot of times it's focused on like, how am I drawing my shapes, or can I get this character right, or is my animation fluid? But a lot of times, a lot of good stuff that can make an animation production go wrong is mistakes in bad communication, bad emotional handling, or bad organization. Because those are things that can drive a team to they can just drive a whole production into the ground.
Actually, communication is huge. Yeah, for us, and for Chubby Beagle, communication is such a big thing. Like we we tell our whole team, we tell our clients, like, please tell us every feeling you're having, every thought you're having, because it's like, don't hold it in. If you think the schedule isn't working, please tell us. It's like, we're not the last end all be all. We want to work together. And we can't do that if we're not communicating with each other, because it can just fall apart so quickly.
Definitely. And what is like an animation budget? What kind of encompass that?
Well, when we set up budgets, we start from, like, again, it all comes to talking with the client.
Yeah.
What, like, it's a lot of back and forth. It's like, it depends on where they want it shown. Like, are we talking about a movie that'll be shown in theaters? Or are we talking about a movie that's going to be shown on YouTube? Or is it going to be just a private movie that's just for funsies?
Yeah.
Like, it's so huge. So it can be like, if a production's just going to be like just an intro for someone's YouTube video, that can be done by just us two.
Yeah.
So we only.
How big of a scope of a production do we need to put together for this project? Yeah,
when we first start, like very, very first in the very beginning, we read the project, we take into account like everything, like how many people we're going to need, how long it's going to take, and we think about how many hours in general. Like, we're not super like just a ballpark. We're not super like structured to it, and we think like, okay, what are we comfortable with working on an hourly basis if, say, that's the hours we work? Like, say if it's an intro to a YouTube video and we're like, okay, this is going to take us like 2 weeks or something, and it's both of us, we say, okay, that's 2 weeks of 40 hours a week, and we just do the math. We like unravel the math, and it's like, okay, this feels like like a $40 an hour thing or a $50 an hour thing, and then we just we actually do algebra. We actually use it. We're actually using it in our everyday life. My 7th grade math teacher was right, I guess.
There's a lot of math that you don't think you're going to use, and there you are using it.
Right, and that's kind of like that. We use that as our jumping off point. And we start with that, and then we talk to the client. And if they say like, that's great, or they say like that's great, but I want it in half the time, then we're like, okay, then we're going to need double the people. So there you go. And then we just, that's where the back and forth comes in.
It's that cheap, good, quick thing. It's again, like it's trying to match what the client needs. And a lot of times, sometimes it's not going to work out. And
sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it happens, and you just have to be okay with saying no.
Right.
And
it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. And it's again, that's one of those things that we're learning to, it's one of those things that we didn't, at the time we didn't know, and now we know. But it's always a learning process, and I think you have to be ready for that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this all sounds like things that make sense. Yeah, from my experience, like working, there's always like, it's like a question of what can you do, and versus are you able to do it?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, what are you comfortable with? Like, determining your hourly rate, like determining how much time you have during the day. Like, maybe it's not an 8-hour day, maybe you got 4 hours a day. Like, what are you comfortable with? Like, and that's where the emotional maturity comes in. You got to fight a lot of those inner demons that are trying to tell you, like, no, you got to do it no matter what.
You can also get yourself in trouble by getting excited about a project, because a project that, like, oh yes, this sounds so awesome, exciting, and then you're like, yeah, I would give a lump of flesh to work on this. Like that excitement feels good, and it feels good to be excited about that. But then you got to be careful, because that can also then be a blind side. It can be a moment where like, oh yes, you think you're getting everything you wanted, and I get to work on this really cool project. I work on this fun thing, but then it's not working out, and then because you were blinded by what you were seeing, and it's hard, because like, that can happen to anybody. It's a hard thing to get through. So you have to kind of like, it's not always obvious when it's happening. It's not always obvious when it's not happening. It's a hard problem to suss out.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to bring yourself to come to terms with, this isn't working out for me, or this isn't an hourly wage I like, or this isn't the amount of money I was hoping to make. It's like, it's hard, especially when you're excited about the project, to say like, I can't do it. I can't work 12 hours a day. It's like, talk about burnout. It's like, I can't work 24 hours straight, sort of thing. Like, it'll just you'll just find yourself a week later just hating the project, and that's like we've both been there.
Yeah,
it's a terrible feeling, especially with a project you love, and you wake up one morning just like exhausted after your 12 cups of coffee, and then you're like, I can't do this anymore.
but then again, it is sometimes it's a good feeling to know when you've left a project that wasn't good for you. It's all like I think that sometimes that doesn't get talked about enough, because everyone wants to talk about their awesome, cool, projects they've worked on and how everything's going well. And a lot of times it's no. You need. I've been inspired by artists I've seen walk away from projects, and it's like at the time I probably didn't understand that, but I've been in that situation too, where it's like I need to walk away from this project. This isn't working out for me, and it's like. It felt really good. it felt right, and then it's like, okay, how can it's like it's a good thing to kind of keep in mind.
It helps you, like you don't think about it at the time, but yeah, walking away sometimes frees you up for new projects you weren't even thinking were coming down the pipeline. You weren't even. You find the right projects that work better for you and your style and your rate, and it's like. It takes a bit of confidence, and it takes a bit of courage, and a bit of like you got to take the leap.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's all easy. That's all easy for us to say right now. It is so hard to do. So hard to do. Like
it takes practice. It's a process.
Yeah, like I said, animation is hard.
That's why you gotta love what you do. Yeah, because it's like that's gotta carry you. You gotta really love this. Yeah.
So I would say, what animation kind of inspired you guys?
Oh gosh, so much. Well, we're both kids of Saturday morning cartoons. I was Nicktoons. You were Disney Channel.
I was Disney Channel. Yeah.
I was Cartoon Network.
Oh, there you go. We've got them all covered now. Yeah, it's like I started watching like original Nickelodeon.
Yeah, we're dating ourselves.
Yeah, when Nickelodeon first started, like you can't do that on television, that kind of stuff, like crazy animation. Like Rocko's Modern Life was one of my favorites. Still is one of my favorites. And gosh, there's so many. Yeah, we're just fans of animation in general.
Oh God, yeah.
Like a lot of those, Saturday morning cartoons too, like the really bad ones. Like I was a fan of Jem and She-Ra and. Let's see what else. Care Bears and My Little Pony, all that crazy stuff back then. So it's like there was a lot of, even though it was super commercialized, there was a lot of animation when we were growing up.
It was everywhere.
And the revival of Disney with all those movies. Gosh, who wasn't inspired by those? So and then as we got older, it was like. Other friends were growing out of animation, and I was just watching more of them. It's like, more and more great stuff was coming up, and we see what other stuff was there.
Oh God,
what were you into?
God, I was into like old Warner Brothers shorts, like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck.
Those are the classics.
I grew up, like watching Disney Channel, but I always loved watching like old Donald Duck cartoons or like old Goofy cartoons.
Old Goofy cartoons are the best.
They're the best. Just hilarious, fun shorts, and it's funny. There's even some Goofy shorts where I watch them now as an adult. I'm like, that joke went way over my head. Oh my God,
I had no idea.
What's going on with Goofy's wife and the milkman? But no, it's it's so funny because speaking of like what influences you, like I know for myself, like when I was like in my young 20s, God, I'm really making myself sound old. Like when I was like younger, I was super inspired by like old really cartoony cartoons, like your Rocko's Modern Life, your Ren and Stimpy and stuff, and that's what I thought I wanted to do. Like I that was my art identity. But actually lately, it's been working out really well with my art career. I've been working on more like adult like primetime shows, and that's kind of been really going more towards my sensibility. And I've really enjoyed that. And it's like I used to think like, because I used to draw caricatures and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to be as crude and as hilarious. And there's this person from me, I'm going to mess them up. And now I'm more like, I'm going to draw a really nice portrait of this person because they're a nice, sweet person. And I want to have fun. So it's like my sensibilities have changed and the things that inspire me have changed. But like, I think it's also like it can if you allow yourself to grow that way, it can lead you in different paths and take you in places you never thought possible. Like I always thought like, oh, I'm just going to go for Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or something like that. But now it's like, no, I'm working at like Fox as a day job, and I'm making a movie that's more family friendly, and it's like, I'm loving it. I'm having the best time of my life. And so sometimes the things that inspire you change.
Well, you take little bits of it.
Yeah, you take little bits of you stick to you on the way.
And you roll along. Yeah, I know, like, you come more from, like, you were a huge fan of comic books and stuff before you even got into animation, and then I was more in reading the Sunday comics.
Yeah, you're on, like, Peanuts and like Sunday Funnies and
all the comic strips. Yeah, I read all those, and you were more into like the comic books and stuff. And coming together and working together, we like shown each other those different things. So it's only opened our like inspiration, you know, like he's got me way into comic books I never thought I'd ever read.
Yeah.
And I've gotten him into comic strips he never thought he'd
I'm like, oh man, this is great. Why did I read this? I thought it was boring.
Yeah. And different cartoons and different styles and different everything. So we just take little bits of it everywhere we go. Yeah.
Great. So you guys say how you have a production, you make a team. So what goes into like finding an artist to be part of the team?
Oh yeah, that's been a great learning experience for us too. It's a lot of patience. You got to have a lot of patience. You got to have a good. We've learned you got to have a good, clear vision of what you're looking for, like what skill set, like because there's so many great artists. Like we put out a call that we're looking for animators or artists or designers or what have you, and you get so many responses back, and they're all amazing, but they're all different in their own way. They've all got different styles. They've all got different ways they approach things, you know, and it's like, it's hard not to get excited and be like, I want to hire all of you. Well, let's figure out a way, you know, it's like, oh, that one's cool and that one's cool. But we have to like refocus as we're going through and like narrowing down the list on like, it's for this project. We need this look. We need this, we need it animated this way. We need this design sensibility. And so then you kind of like, and as you work with people, you start to realize, okay, like I said, you grow along with them. And so you start to realize, okay, this person is better for this part, but not so much this part. So you want to always be trying to play people to their strengths. Reroute them to different, like, or what assignments you give them. Yeah, it's like, okay, let's start giving them more of this and less of that. And you know, you keep going through it, but it's been eye-opening for us being on this side of building the team rather than on the other side. That we found out that
been such an eye-opener.
That when we don't get jobs or we don't get projects, it's not rejection. Yeah. It's not rejection at all. Like us being on this side, it's like the people we don't call back or don't bring on. We are actually keeping their information. Like we always thought like that was just like a BS response to be like, well, hang on your stuff.
It's easy to think that too because you get upset. You're like, oh, who are these people? They don't like me. They're not keeping my information.
But it has absolutely nothing to do with like whether or not we think they're a good artist or whether or not we think they're good at what they do or if they should be in this industry or not. Like none of that, because they're all amazing. It's just so hard to keep refocusing and be like, okay, we're looking for this. All right, we got to like go through this and be like, okay, that one's amazing, but not for this project. And it's so hard, but it's like, it takes practice. You get better at it as you go along. And
I remember the biggest eye opener for me for that was when we were working on, this was way back on the USC project, our first thing that we did. And we were going through audition tapes because we were hiring people for voice actors for the roles. And we got so many awesome audition tapes that came in of voice actors, and they were funny, and they had some great voices, and they just weren't the right ones. But they were hilarious. I'm like, wow, these people are so talented, but like they're just not what we're looking for. It just wasn't the right thing, and it's like, that was the biggest eye opener for me because I remember for the longest time, like I remember myself trying to apply to studios and sending off, you know, portfolios and getting rejection emails or getting rejection letters, and it's just like, and that it does wear on you. It is hard to get those, but it's like it wasn't that you got rejected. I think that's the wrong word to use. Then it's like you're not rejected because rejected then sounds like there's something wrong with you. it's more like it didn't work out. It's like you audition and it just didn't work out, you know. And that's
just didn't get on that project.
It just didn't get on that project, and sometimes that's fine. And actually trying to force yourself to be on a project can actually find yourself in a worse spot than if you just go with a project that works better for you. Because if you try, it's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It's like it's not. That square peg is not comfortable
if it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work out, you know, it's like it's hard, it's painful. So it's like, you know, it's better to find where you're looking for, and I think that's where again the emotional maturity comes in, because you have to look at, what am I good at? What am I, you know, where can I be applying for?
Or what do I enjoy?
What do I enjoy? I think that's the best thing, is like, what do I enjoy working on? And sometimes you don't know until you do work on it, what you would actually enjoy. But it's that being honest with yourself. It's letting yourself hear what it is you want to do, and then finding it.
It's being true to yourself.
It's being true to yourself, yeah.
You know, and if anything, that's what got us excited about the Maxi project, because it's like that's what the entire movie is all about being true to yourself, finding your own strengths, you know, unleashing your own strength, you know, and it's like that, gosh, you got to do that for art, and it's so hard sometimes, because
it's really hard.
It's so easy to get stuck in, like, you have to be everything for everyone, and you have to make everyone happy, and it's like, it's just, it's just not the way it works.
It's easy to get into that people-pleasing mentality, because especially with its art, because I remember getting this a lot when I did caricatures. It's like, everyone, your literal money, your livelihood is dependent on if the person you're showing your art to likes it. Because if they don't like it, you didn't make any money. And so you start to mentally make, like, well, I'll just draw everyone happy looking, or I'll draw everyone smiling looking, even if that's not what you want to do. And it's just about doing what's true to yourself, and be what's true for what works for you, and you'll probably find more success doing it that way.
Yeah, it's about gaining that strength to just, like, be your own star. Yeah. Which, it's again easier said than done, and it's a process, and you gotta keep reminding yourself that over and over and over.
Yeah, we're sitting here saying this with smiles on our faces, and there's been so many tears and so many other like so much pain with actually like learning that lesson, that it's like, it's so much easier to say than do.
Yes. And I guess next question would be, how is it like finding a project to work on?
Oh gosh, that's been a process. Like, it's been years of networking, of, you know, meeting people, getting ourselves out there. Like, it's been a slow build, that's for sure. Like,
most of the work we've done has all been through word of mouth. It was a friend of a friend, or someone that knew us through a friend, or heard about us from something. It's a lot of work that we've done professionally has been through acquaintances, old school friends, old co-workers.
Sometimes old projects we did years ago will suddenly just email out of the blue and be like, "Hey, my company needs this now," or "Hey, are you guys still around?" And it's like, heck yeah, we're still around. Yeah.
I think that's why animation, I mean, is full of so many people who are friendly, because a lot of times we know, like, hey, that person might call you up and be like, "Hey, I'm on this project. We need people. Are you available?" And sometimes you are, and you're like, "Yeah, let me do it. I'm there." And that's how again, that's where being honest with yourself works for you in your favor, because if you're at a place and you're being yourself, you're being honest to yourself, people are going to see that, and people are going to realize that, and be like, "Hey, I'm on this project right now. We really need people that are doing this. Oh, I remember this person. She was great, and I remember she was doing really good things. We need her for that. Let's get her on." And
or we'll be at like an art show or a convention or something in Artist Alley and see like just their signs up of just their artwork and be like, "That's what we're looking for." Like, there it is, right there, and go and get their, you know, have a conversation. It's like mini interviews, like right there. It's all one place.
God, I know. For me, I'm very visual. So a lot of times I'll think of someone's artwork, and then I'll think of who they were. Like, like, oh, who was the person that did that one? That'd be perfect for it. Oh, right, that's what their name is, and then we call them up. But I remember what their artwork looked like. I remember what their work looked like, and it happens.
we got
way sidetracked.
We keep doing that, yeah.
I just had an epiphany. My first year of the podcast, I was interviewing some students who was animators, and now I'm speaking to people who's like really into like the in the field. So I was like making that connection.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We love. Well, before the
Before
pandemic and
COVID,
everything.
yeah.
We do this lunch down in Burbank where it was just a bunch of people, professionals working, meeting with students that were about to graduate.
Yeah, it was I can't. I'm gonna. They're probably gonna hear this and probably kill me for not remembering which school it was. I think it was a school like Wisconsin.
But it was always so great because all the students were so nice and they were so excited, and just their like excitement and their energy and it was like they were like teaching us more than we were teaching them.
Oh yeah.
Like, they were like, I'm excited to get out there and do this, and I'm like, yeah. Like, okay, let's do this. Like
that's
great.
That's one thing that also I don't think gets talked about enough too, is that when you get to a position in like a studio, or you get to a certain place in your career and you have the ability to go and inspire someone, take it. Because you can get to a point, because all animation, working animation, even if it's on something that's like your own personal project, eventually it just becomes work, because it is tedious. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of effort. It's like going back to your patience question. It takes a lot out of you, and you can get to a point where it's like, oh God, why am I doing this?
It's easy to get jaded.
It's easy to get jaded. Yeah. It's easy to get down. It's easy to get bitter. But when it's like, when you're in a group of people, it's also very easy to get down on yourself and feel like, where am I? I'm how many years old and I'm doing this? Oh God. But then when you're back in that situation and it's a bunch of people who are passionate as you were how many years ago, and then they've got that passion again, and they're looking at you with those big starry eyes, and they're like, no, I wish I had what you had. It's like it's great. And then too, it's like, you remember all those times where someone gave you that inspirational tone, or they told you what you needed to hear in that moment, and it's like, that's the best gift that you can then give forward. And so it's like, I totally recommend it for anyone that can find like a situation like that. If you can reach out and just, I know for me, I had a moment, it was like, yeah, like I was trying to get into animation, and I went to a portfolio review, and I was showing my portfolios, and I was like, I just got laid off. I have a family. Is this even worth for me continuing to go? I keep getting rejections. I keep getting turned away. And the person looked at my storyboards and was like, yeah, keep going. Your stuff is good. You'll get it. Just keep going. And I was like, that was like exactly what I needed to hear. Like it was no skin off his neck, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was like, it kept me going. And it was like, that was the best. And so now it's like, yeah, it's like I love being able to like give someone that inspiration going forward, because it was like, I needed to hear that.
Yeah, the industry is small. Yeah, so it's very like small. We're all helping each other out and working together, and yeah, you said it right. It's so easy to get bitter and jaded, but like working together, it keeps it helps everyone to lift everyone else up. Yeah.
Nice. So I guess we go into what excites you about your current project?
Oh yeah, Maxi the Wow. We're having so much fun with it. It's been such a great project. Like we just we're wrapping up design and we're just starting on animation. So we're just getting to that point where things are coming together. And, seeing the designs have been great, but seeing all the scenes put together and starting to see them move, yeah, we're getting to that magic point where it's like, yeah,
it's so cool.
This is happening. This is coming together. And it's got such a great message of just like, of being yourself and finding yourself and being confident in yourself. That's just like, it came to us right at the perfect time. And we're excited to turn it around and get it out into the world to like, hopefully inspire others. And it's fun, it's drag, so it's camp. God, we love camp and puns and all that.
It fits within our studio's brand like perfectly.
Like fun humor, but like stupid fun. Like it just makes you laugh. It's just lighthearted, and it's just there to have a good time and just inspire. And so it's been so much fun to keep that within like every bit of this. Like we try to infuse that into the little side jokes and the storyboards, and then in the designs too, trying to infuse that as well, just like fun, stupid jokes and silliness, but also keeping it just fun and approachable for everybody.
Yeah, it's been like this is the biggest project that we've ever tackled. And when we first started this project, there was definitely, I know for me, there was a moment of like panic and freak out and kind of like, what? We're doing what? Like it was excitement mixed with terror, and so I don't know what my face was when it happened. I'm sure it wasn't gorgeous, but no, it's been so much fun, and it's been such a wonderful adventure, and I feel like that's what you got to look at things like this as. There's gonna be moments where it sucks. It's gonna be moments where you're pulling your hair out. There's gonna be moments where you're just feeling like
you doubt yourself.
But it's as long as scenes keep pushing forward, and that's kind of what I know I keep telling myself, and we keep telling each other. It's kind of like, as long as, there's gonna be days, there's gonna be stretches of time where it just feels like nothing's getting done or nothing's happening. But it's like, as long as something is still happening, as long as something's still going, everything is fine. We will keep working through forward. We will keep pushing forward, and this will get done. And I feel like it's like, it's like how you eat an elephant. You eat it one bite at a time. Right. And some bites are going to be great. Some bites are going to suck. But it's just one bite at a time, and you're going to get it through, and you're going to get it done. And that's kind of just like been the mantra, just kind of going forward on this project, because it's amazing and terrifying and just fun. Yeah. I mean, just like I'm still like, I wake up sometimes like, that's right, we're working on a movie. What the hell? Oh my god, that's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, and also to just start animation, it's like, it's great. Whenever we start a new part of the process, I guess another bite of the elephant, we're just keep going one thing on top of another, and it's just such a great progress, and it's like kind of unreal. Like, we're doing this, it's rolling, the car is rolling down the hill, we're doing it, and that's also great inspiration to be like, hey, we think we're not doing it, but look back at everything we've done. We're like, no, we're doing this. This thing is getting built,
Well, and what also has been helping has been just like, we have an awesome team that we've put together helping us out with this. Our client that we're making this for, he's been amazing. And it's been, it's that's really been helping this thing keep going. Because when you have a good team on board, there's a part where you can kind of like, hey, I know we're busy or we've got a lot of stuff going on, but I know so-and-so is good. I know they're good. I trust all my team. Hey, that means I can focus on whatever fire I need to put out, or whatever problem we need to solve. I know that they're still doing good, that they're still working on this, and they're trustworthy and they can handle it. And that's been just the best thing ever, I think, having a good team.
And working with the creator, Anthony Hand has just been so amazing. Like, he's so excited, and he's so great. He's been working, like, I feel like we're a team. Yeah. We collaborate together, we're working together, talk about great communication. It's just really been a dream. And then, he's a great pillar of the community, of the LGBTQ community up in Silicon Valley. And it's just like, seeing everything he's doing, it's just like, yes, this is an amazing project that we are just so excited to get out there. That we just feel like really lucky to be part of it and to be, bringing it to life. It's like, it's definitely everything we've wanted to do. Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a wonderful, amazing, exciting adventure. And I can't wait. It keeps going.
On that happy note, then we can start writing this down. So we'll get it straight to you guys. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask before we end?
Not
offhand. What made you start your own podcast? Like, what's been your journey? Because I love hearing other people's journeys. I love hearing where people have gone. It's like, what's your story?
So in 2019, I graduated with a marketing degree, and then I was still looking for work. And then one day I came home after the interview, and I was like, I need to do something with my life. So then I was like, let me start a podcast and then have like animations with the podcast. And I was like, I really don't like animating, so I dropped that part, but I kept the podcast part.
Yeah.
And then it's been my journey since, and it helped me get my current job.
Oh,
dude, that's awesome, man.
That's so cool. Yeah, he kind of did the same thing. He was live streaming like art and drawing and stuff when he was, unemployed for a bit.
Yeah, I was really depressed, and so doing Twitch streaming was kind of I was working on like personal projects, Twitch streaming, and it led to like I met an awesome director on Twitch, and that led to my first job at Warner Brothers. It's like, so yeah, and again, that's really cool. I'm so glad to hear that that's what's going on with you, man.
Oh, fun.
Thanks. And so the last questions I have are, what would your origin story be? If it could be together or separate, how would you like to represent it? So like, what medium would you choose? And then what would you name it?
Like what superhero we choose?
What would your origin story be?
Oh.
And then how would you like represent it? Would you make a book, an animation, TV show?
Oh wow.
I've never really thought of that before.
God, I always ask these like sometimes when I'm in the car with my kids, I'm always asking like, so if you had a superhero, what power, what would it be, or something like that. But like I never answer the question because I never have an answer myself.
You always change your mind with everything.
I always change my mind with everything. Yeah, like today I feel like my origin story would be bitten by something, and then
I don't know. Personally, I'd be all about like if I were a character and have an origin story and all that. This is gonna seem corny, but our kids when we were little watched Word Girl a lot, and I thought she was great. I thought she was so fun.
Oh, I love that show.
Like, yeah, she was a fun character, and like stuff like that, like in Backyardigans and stuff. Man, those were fun. Just like fun, silly, like just a good time. Yeah. Sort of thing. So I'd definitely be about it. A TV show sort of thing, and maybe like a superhero, but like I've always loved the superheroes that seem very relatable, like superheroes that are very like human, I guess you could say. Like I know one of my favorite comics is the Hellboy comics, because even though he's like a horrible demon, he's very relatable. Like he's very like the humor and the comedy and all that is like very like you can really relate to it completely. So it'd be a very like relatable superhero, not super like godlike, like just very down to earth. That'd be a good way to describe it. Yeah.
I always felt like if I had an origin story, I'd be like the background character in a movie, which is hilarious because I'm super tall. Like like you can't talk to me on Zoom, but I'm 6'6". I'm like over 300 pounds. Like I'm a big guy. And like I always figure like if I was gonna be like in the background, it'd just be like my head cut off and like, oh, there's my chest, like there I am.
It's the free pizza guy in Gravity
I'm the free
Falls.
Pizza guy in Gravity Falls. That's who I am. Yeah, like I'm there delivering pizza, and that's who I am. So
you were there to show up for the free pizza.
Yeah, I was there for the free pizza.
Right.
I had the shirt made and everything.
Right.
I didn't get it, so I was always upset about not getting my free pizza. But that I don't like that was me growing up because I always saw like. I always saw like the characters who were like the heroic like heroes like always like being in something super dangerous like Rescuers Down Under. The kid like falls from like 30 cliffs. Like who wants to go through that? Like I'll be the mouse that like is one of the nurses that like shoots what's his face with a needle with like John Candy's character with a needle or something like that. I'll be that character. That's who I am. I'm on the side. But that but now it's like I feel like with where we're going with this movie, I feel like now it's like, okay, I'm no longer the background character. I'm not actually being a character in the movie.
Would you be the Tick?
I would definitely be the Tick. Yeah. I would just pour into that costume. Like I'd have the size right and everything. I could say something stupid off the top of my head and I'd be great for it. And save the world, exactly. No, I would definitely be the Tick.
Well, I think you got both for coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, this has been awesome, man. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Welcome anytime. And where can everybody find you?
Probably our website, chubbybeagle.com.
Chubbybeagle.com.
You can also check out the movie website. That's maxxie.com, maxxie.com, or just look up Maxie Luau on, all the social medias, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, all that. Which we'll have links to on our website.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm currently, we just got done wrapping up season 3 of The Great North, which I'm a storyboard artist on. So that's going to be premiering soon on Fox. If you want to check out some of my work. And then that's pretty much it. That's where you'll find us. And you'll find us here dying in the heat in Southern California.
That brings another episode of the Let's Get Podcast to a close. Again, you can find more information about Chubby Beagle Productions by clicking the link in the description below. For next week, I have Chancellor Jackson to speak about his book, 14 Days in Beijing. Hope you enjoyed that day, and I hope to see you there.